Greetings, African people. Hope you guys are fine wherever you are. Just want to welcome you once again to Holistic African Spirituality. And today I want us to deal with a topic that's affecting African people almost everywhere. And it's quite an unfortunate topic because it's a topic of daughters and sons in-laws having relationships, physical relationships with their mother-in-laws and their father-in-laws. And this was brought to my attention by one of my friends who told me to look or read this case. And there's a case in one of our lovely African countries where a man was arrested by the police because of allegedly paying thugs to go and kill his son because he was in a relationship with the son's wife. Now, this is becoming far too common, unfortunately, and it's, as the story goes, the thugs were paid, the hitmen were paid, and his son was killed in order for him to take his wife as his wife. So to take his daughter-in-law as his wife. Now, when one reads this kind of stories, you don't want to believe, right? No one wants to believe that this is actually the truth. No one wants to sit down and accept that a grandfather to your children can actually go out there and plan your death, plan for your death, pay people to come and kill you because he wants to take your wife. But that's the reality that is out there. As the saying goes, truth is stranger than fiction. This is what I always say here. The truth is stranger than fiction. But it's very important for us to understand how these kind of cases are made possible. How is it that this is possible? Now, when you look closely at these people who are involved, these people are Christians. Like, they are Africans who have embraced this foreign religion and foreign culture. Because when one adopts another culture, then who are you? Who do you become? What do you become? How do you live your life? When you live your own spirituality, when you live your own culture, and you start living another, you embraced another. Because the reason why this is possible, these are two main reasons, right? I always talk about religion, Christianity, and other religions, and embracing what we call westernization. How does a grandfather, how does someone's dad fall in love with the son's wife? That's one part. The other part is, how does the son's wife, how does a daughter-in-law fall in love with a father-in-law? How does that happen? It can only happen in the settings that I've laid in Christianity, and also in the westernization. Why? Anything goes. There are no boundaries. There are no boundaries when it comes to westernization. You don't find do's and don'ts. people, when you talk about Christianity, different groups of people can meet at any given time, pray together, fellowship together, work together, do stuff together. So as I'm saying that there are no boundaries, because it's very easy for that to happen. When you look at African spirituality, it would not have happened, because there would not have been a point at which a daughter-in-law and a father-in-law would even sit down and talk about anything. I mean, that could not even have happened. What are they talking about? They have nothing to talk about. There could not have been a point whereby a son-in-law and a mother-in-law are sitting down together privately, secretly, talking about anything. That could not have happened. I grew up in Africa, and I remember some guys coming to a place, coming to visit, and they would not even enter the house. Men were not even allowed. There's some particular age group that are not even allowed to enter another man's house. Men could not visit. Right? Your friend couldn't visit your home, couldn't enter your house if you're not in. Your father couldn't interact with your wife, because they didn't have any interaction. The only person they couldn't interact with was your mother. So mothers-in-laws and daughters-in-laws were the only people who were only allowed to interact or to spend time together. The only thing that a father-in-law would and a daughter-in-law would do is greet each other, and maybe a little talk where he'll ask how the kids. Oh, the kids are fine, and that's it. But when you come to Westernization, right? When it comes to Christianity, everything goes. They're spending time together. They're praying, and it's very easy. It's a very good reason. If one says, "Oh, I'm going to your dad's place because we have some prayers," or I'm going to your dad's place because we are going to read the scriptures, or something of that sort. It's very, very easy. Now, do I just blame this man or this kind of men? No, I don't. When I read the story, I was like, the wife was involved in one way or the other. The wife of this guy was involved. And I look at the age of this guy. I think he was 74, 75. I'm like, come on. You're a grandfather. You're supposed to be relaxed at home with your grandchildren. Just maybe he's worked very hard in his life, and it's time for him to chill out. But he was there chasing. How can you chase your wife, your son's wife? I was even talking to someone today. I was like, all these single women all over the place, and the only person you can think of is your wife, is your son's wife. Now, this is happening everywhere, and I'd like to say this, that it's happening in homes where Africans have embraced these foreign religions, as I've said before. It's happening in the diaspora when parents, and I usually tell women this, and women everywhere should listen to this, because it's the truth, that your husband does not have any blood relations or any relations with. So to your husband, your mother is just another woman. Just another woman. Because women usually think, oh, it's my mom. My husband will never do anything with my mom. My mom has come to live with us, and she's with us for some few months, and then she'll go back home. Now, this is happening in Africa, where children have settled in the city, and so the parents come from the rural area, and they visit their kids, and they won't stay for months and months and months. It happens when kids fly out, the parents visit them, and they're living the same thing. It could be either way. right? Your father wants to come to your house, wants to visit and stay with you for months. You wouldn't want to think that, oh, my dad is having something to do. My dad and my wife have something together. No one wants to think that, because you're like, oh, that's like a daughter. No, but the reality is, to your father, especially in this setting, right? When you get rid of African spirituality, your father looks at your wife just like any other woman. And there are tons and tons of cases where mothers have come to stay, in quotes, holiday. I'm going on holiday. I'm going to be staying with my kids for some few months. And then what happens? Relationships, this kind of relationships occur. Now, it's happening everywhere. There are cases I've read online, you can check. There was allegedly a Ghanaian woman in America. The mother had left Ghana to go to America to stay with them for some time. She went out, left the husband and the mother and the kids, and she forgot something, went back to the house and found them in the act. And she jumped. The story is that she jumped out of the window, fell several stories and died. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't process that. But this is happening. That's when I said it's not just Africa. It's happening all over the place. Because not you, but people generally. In Africans, we are caught up. We are caught up in, oh, we are Christians. Oh, we are westernized. That may not necessarily be something positive as an African, because those boundaries that were there and those boundaries that are there in African spirituality are gone. I would ask someone, what are you? I was with a guy in London a couple of years ago, and we had attended this occasion together, and we were going to the car park, and we had parked next to each other, and I saw this guy with this woman who had not just a miniskirt but a micro miniskirt, and I was like, who is this woman? And as I approached them, the guy was like, hey, hi man, how are you doing? I was like, hi, how are you? And he then introduced me to the mother-in-law, and I was shocked. Oh, this is my mother-in-law. She's staying with us for some time. And I looked at this woman, and this woman couldn't look at me in the eyes because she knew that I knew what was going on. She just literally stared. She just looked down, stared at the floor, and I was like, oh, okay. And I went home going like, oh, they have a relationship. There's something going on because of the way they were talking to each other, and because they had left the wife. Because I know this couple, they had left. The wife was left doing something, and I was thinking, why is the mother-in-law? Why is the mother-in-law and the son-in-law? Why are they rushing to go? Why are they rushing to go to? Why are they leaving the wife? Shouldn't it be the other way? A man stays with men, and women stay together. Like you, that's your wife's mom, right? Your wife should be with her mom, not you. But hey, all these guys were born again Christians. Born again Christians, everything goes. Fast forward a couple of years later, my wife and I had gone to this occasion, and this guy stood up, started crying, and we looked at each other with the missus, and I was like, yeah, that's the guy I was telling you about, because everyone found out that he was having a relationship with his mother-in-law, and he was crying, and the wife was there, and the wife looked so distraught. She wanted to get out of there as fast as she could, because here was the husband crying like a boy, asking for forgiveness because of that act. An act that got completely destroyed that family. They have kids. How do you start explaining to your children that you're having a relationship with your grandmother? How does that go on? How do you start that? You've destroyed. It's destroying families. And that guy has never recovered. And you don't recover from it. That family, maybe they'll go for counseling, I don't know for how long. The wife will never trust, they will never trust the mother again. I mean, you can't, how do you start having a relationship with your mother after your mother did that to you? Because no one was forced. I mean, we're not talking about here someone who was forced to do anything. That's not what you're talking about. We're talking about people who sat down, spoke about it, and they consented. There are even stories. I watched this story on a YouTuber called Franklin, starting with a P, Franklin, right? If you check him out, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. He talks about a lot of African issues in the diaspora and in Africa as well. He's a lovely, lovely guy. I've learned a lot from him. So his name is Franklin, PHARANKLEN. So on YouTube, and I saw this story of a lady, again, the same thing in London. Was working late. She was working nights, and she wasn't feeling well. She returned home, and the mother had come to stay with them, and found the husband and the mother in the act. The kids were upstairs, and the woman had a breakdown, and that was not enough, because allegedly or apparently the mother became pregnant, right? So it's very strange, because now your husband's child becomes your brother or your sister. What does your kids call that child? It's a big mess, but we need to understand how it happens, the science behind it. And when we talk about African spirituality, we need to understand that our ancestors, they were more akin to science. They understood how things worked out, and they understood that there were formulas, that if you followed a particular formula, you'll get a particular thing, or something will happen. If you follow this formula, something will happen. So and that's why they were these boundaries. Father-in-laws and daughters-in-laws, they couldn't meet. There was no place. They didn't have anything to discuss. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Right? Even in like my tribe, daughters didn't have a lot of interactions with their fathers. What kind of interaction do you have with your dad every time? So at a particular time, even men did not share a house with women. They understood that certain things, if like in the UK, I think they say that 1 out of 4 girls is abused, or girls is abused, is unfortunately sexually abused. Now, and when you look at the setting is it usually happens or is done by a family member or someone they know. It's because they're sort of living together or with the same vicinity, right? But when you look at African spirituality, like for my tribe, the tribe where I come from, that women and men were separated. They didn't have a lot of interaction, because they understood we have bodies, we have emotions, we have feelings, and when these emotions can kind of overcome us in a certain way, where logic, where morals go out of the window. And so, because they understood that was a huge possibility, in order to stop that from happening, they were like, no, you're not going to interact. But look at today. Mothers-in-laws and daughters and different people, fathers-in-laws and daughters-in-laws, sons-in-law, together swimming. They all go swimming. I saw one of the guys with a mother-in-law and the girlfriend, they'd gone swimming to this place, and I was like, wow, this is what Westernization has done to us. This is what in Africa that would have happened. In Africa, in African spirituality, what are you doing sitting with women and talking and swimming together and hugging each other? In fact, I was talking to a woman the other day, and we're talking about men hugging, in this Christian thing. Oh, hug me, I'm a Christian. Yeah, God bless you, God this. You're like, no. That should not happen. I'm talking about in African spirituality. That could not happen. Even from in my own life, I do not see the reason why I should spend time with women. For doing what? Why would a man find it so comfortable? Like when you hear that, oh, yeah, I was with you, I met your dad for lunch. What do you mean you met my dad for lunch? What do you mean you met my mom for lunch? What are you talking about? Oh, yeah, there was nothing, we just went. Oh, why? Why? What do you have to discuss in my absence? There is nothing. There's nothing that is to be discussed by either of these groups if you are not there, either as a husband or as a wife. But Africans should know this. If your mother is living with you, she's staying with you in the same house, do not be shocked when you hear that your mom is having a relationship with your husband, and the other way around. If your dad has come to stay with you, do not be shocked when you hear that your dad is having a relationship with your wife. That's just the way it is. So, unfortunately for this guy, he went ahead, for this old man, he went ahead and planned for the death of his son. He paid people to go and kill his son. I've read again that he passed on because he was arrested and he got sick and he passed on. But you see the mess he's caused. Now, his son is dead, he's dead, and the family is just messed up. Messed up why? Or how? Because of not adhering to your own spirituality. I keep saying this, that your spirituality is your protection. Your spirituality is your guidance, is what guides you. Your spirituality is what directs you. It tells you what to do. It tells you when to stand, when to sit, when to jump. It tells you, no, you cannot do that. Yes, you can. But if you, for some reason, demonize it and say that, oh, it's spooky, it's primitive, then you will deal with the consequences. So for you men out there, and for you women out there whose parents are staying with you, and you suspect and you can see as if there's something going on, there is something going on. It's there. It's happening far too many times. But hey, the only way to stop it is to return to your own spirituality. Thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe and share. And please, please, do not ignore those red flags in your life. Thank you.